I should probably be facing this way. This is so awkward because I'm not used to having an overlay like this. I don't know where the face cam should be. All right, let's go. Let's do this. EU and NA power rankings at the same time. So anybody who watched my video on the Gfinity Elite Series power rankings, you'll know how this is going to work because there were two groups in that, and every time that I reveal a team, it will appear at the bottom of one of the groups. So let's just go ahead and reveal my lowest rated team out of both EU and NA RLCS, and then that should help explain what's going to happen here. So out of Styler, my number 16 might come as no, or it should come as no surprise to you guys because these guys are very much the underdogs after Justin left them to join NRG. Justin was pretty much that team, no disrespect to the current lineup, but Justin is one of the best players in North America. Losing him would be a huge hit to any team. So that's why I've got them at number 16. Now, just to elaborate on what I said before, when I reveal my number 15th, my 15th best team, because obviously there's 8 in both NA and EU, it will either appear directly above out of style, or it'll appear over there at the bottom of the EU list, and then every single team that I reveal will appear at the just at the above or atop the team that's currently at the bottom of that list. So that's how we're gonna do this. But yeah, out of style, they only have one off-season result. Since qualifying for RLCS, they've only played they've got one off-season result against a current RLCS team, and that's Cloud9, and they lost 3-0. So there's not really much going well for them. I do think that losing Justin is just going to make them too weak as a lineup. But yeah, they might as well try and make a push for top 6 and miss out on relegations because that's what they're really going for. That's the battle they have to face. My number 15 team, EU's Excel. That's Marky Duda, Pondix, and Niels Cox. So Niels and Pondix are coming off the back of a 5th place finish in RLCS, and Marky Duda is coming off the back of a 6th place finish in RLCS. So both of them, or all of these players, I think, have gone down in the standings. That's partly because RLCS EU is more stacked this year than it was, or in this season than it was last season. But it's partly also because, Marky, since joining Excel, has not been able to post any good results really with Niels and Pondix. They've had one win against another RLCS EU team, and that's a 2-1 win over Complexity, formerly Method, in the run up to, I think it was one of the Ting qualifiers. But they since then lost to that same Complexity lineup 2-0. So I don't think that win really counts for anything. They've got no wins against they really don't have that many good results outside of RLCS teams as well. They've been losing tournament. I don't know if they've won a tournament yet. Have they won any Gfinities? I don't think they have. They've been losing to a lot of teams. They lost to Epsilon, who didn't make RLRS. They lost to WLF, who didn't make RLRS. They're really struggling. Like, I don't know if I wouldn't have probably put money on Excel qualifying for RLRS if they had to go through that qualifier. That's how badly they've been playing. But yeah, you never know. They're doing the same thing as Out of Style pretty much. They're just trying to get a couple wins and not have to face relegation. That's their goal, I think, this season. All right, my number 14 team, back over to NA, Equinox. This is an interesting one because Equinox actually have 8 series played between or already this year against other RLCS caliber teams. And out of those 8 series, they won 3 of them. They beat G2 3-0. They beat Flipside 2-1. That was the Flip Sub Tactics roster at DreamHack. And then they beat Ghost 3-1 as well. So they have had a couple of wins. They've lost 3-1 to Cloud9, lost 3-1 to Energy, lost 3-0 to PSG, 3-0 to Energy, 4-2 to Dignitas. I've put Dignitas in that list as well because I think they're RLCS caliber, even though they're currently in the RLRS. So why have I got them down here? It's because they got all those results with Jacob, and he's now gone to Rogue. So I think that's a huge hit to these guys. They're going to really struggle, I think, without Jacob. Jacob was in Equinox for all those results, and if he was still in Equinox, I'd probably put Equinox at least. Well, right now I've got them 14th overall, and that's 7th in NA. I'd have them probably 5th in NA if they still had Jacob. Maybe even 4th, maybe even top 4 NA if they still had Jacob, because they were doing really well. But now he's gone, so I think that's a rest in peace for Equinox, getting a freebie into playoffs. Now they're going to struggle. They're kind of on that border. They've got to try and play really well to make the playoffs, and the other teams around them have gotten stronger, so I don't think that's going to happen. And one of those teams that I put above them, this is going to raise a couple of eyebrows, is Momentum. So Dapper's back with Miho and Timmy this season. Well, it was Dapper and I think who was it last season that they played with? Was it Miho or Timmy? I know they had Moses in the lineup, and it really wasn't working out well with Moses. So I think it was Dapper, Timmy, Moses, and it wasn't working at all. And they finished bottom of the entire league. But then Dapper and Timmy popped off in the relegation promotion tournament, and they managed to get back in. So I think Dapper, Timmy they're playing at quite a good level. Way back in December to get back into or was it November? It was November to get back into RLCS this season. And Miho, of course, last time that they played with Miho, they were fifth place in the group stage of RLCS. They barely lost to Flipside at that season 3 LAN. But yeah, they finished fifth place in the league play. Then they smashed Genesis 4-0. That was a Classics Chrome and Insolence's team. So 2/3 of that lineup is in the Equinox team that I put them above here, just with no Insolences, and instead you got Corrupted, which I do think is an upgrade actually. Corrupted's a very good player, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to beat the momentum. Thanks for the 5 months, by the way. Wisdom Islami. Did I say it right? Wisdom Islami. If it was Wisdom Islami, I know what to say it, but I don't. So, rip. All right, let's go ahead and reveal my 12th best team. It's still in North America and it's Rogue. So there's where Jacob ended up. He's now with Sizz and Insolences. And Jacob and Sizz have had some tournament history in the past. They came third at the E-League no, not E-League. What was it called again? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking. Somebody help me out here. The 2v2 tournament. Well, you know the one I mean. The only massive 2v2 tournament in Rocket League history. Jacob and Sizz came third in that, beating a couple of good teams along the way. And now they've got Insolences back with Sizz, which means they get to keep their RLCS spot. Don't know if Insolences is actually playing Rocket League a lot right now, but he didn't last season, and they still did reasonably well. Universal Open, that's the one. Thank you. So I don't think that's going to be too much of a hindrance. I just put them above Momentum because Sizz, Insol, and Matt were able to beat Momentum 2 seasons ago now. With Matt on the team now. They've took Matt out, put Jacob in. Is that an upgrade? Hard to say. I think it's definitely interesting though. A lot of potential. And Jacob was, in my opinion, working really well with Equinox before he left Equinox to join Rogue. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jacob in this lineup, and that's why I've got them number 12. All right. So NA's gonna be triggered, but we're still in NA. Listen, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better, but for now, still in NA. I've got Ghost as my 11th best team. We will go back to EU in a while, I promise. But for now, we have to stay in NA because I just can't put Ghost any higher. I looked at my list for a long time, and I was trying to place Ghost, and I just really didn't know where to put them because they did reasonably well at RLCS Season 4 LAN. They beat then Mocket, now Vitality, in a very close best of 5. Then they lost 2 series and were eliminated. Then they didn't win any series at E-League. Didn't win any big series at DreamHack Leipzig. In fact, I don't think they've won any series against any notable team since beating Mocket at Season 4 LAN. That's their last big win as far as I know. And the other teams I'm going to be talking about after this do have big wins against other good teams. So that's why I just can't put Ghost any higher. They've got no big series wins. Like I say, Equinox, if Equinox hadn't lost Jacob, I would have put Equinox above all of these teams and even higher. I think I would have put them like in my top 10. But none of these Momentum, Rogue, Ghosts just don't have any big wins recently, so I can't put them any higher than this. And yeah, the Jacob swapping from Equinox to Rogue kind of like, I don't know, it makes Equinox worse and it leaves a big question mark over Rogue for me. So I just don't know. All these teams, they just haven't been winning recently. Lethamyr and Matt, obviously, people think that's a great combination. Both those guys probably top 10 North America players, but we've not seen them play well yet together. They lost 3-1 to Equinox and 3-2 to PSG at DreamHack Leipzig. In fact, the two games that they did win against PSG in the series loss were their best that I've seen them play. Still not enough though to put them, in my opinion, above Envy, who I've got in 10th. And another quick thing I want to say is I would not have put Envy in 10th with Greasy. Does that mean that I think Ignite is better than Greasy? I think currently, yes. Do I think Ignite is better for Envy than Greasy? Definitely, yes. I think Ignite right now is, or could be exactly what they need. The problem for Envy is that they have just ran into bad form, bad play at the worst possible times. And if we look at let me look at the start of their schedule real quick. This is an interesting one. So Envy week 1 have to play PSG in RLCS. So that's here. Envy versus PSG. And then week 2, let's just scroll to Envy. Wait, I don't think Envy have a week 2. Yeah, it's week 3, isn't it? So they play one series in the first week, none in the second week at all. And then where are they? Okay, they play Flipside in week 3 and also Complexity week 3. So they're probably starting off with a loss, right? Probably starting off with a loss, NVR, because PSG are probably going to beat them. I think we can all agree on that. However, they don't have another. They only have one series week 1, no series in week 2, and then in week 3 they're playing Flipside and Complexity, who I think are their biggest rivals. That's going to be a very, very close one between Flipside, Complexity, and Envy in week 3. And that is so lucky for Envy that they don't have any of those matchups in week 1 or 2. Gives them more time to actually practice. Because as we all know, Devo is a survival arc evolved main now. So he needs that time to practice. And I think that is going to be really useful. Like I said though, none of the teams from 14th through 11th above my finger right now in NA have done enough to make me improve my rank, to make me think they've gotten better since RLCS Season 4. Ghost, I haven't seen them do anything that makes me think they're better. Rogue, I've not seen them play with Jacob. Momentum, haven't seen them play with this lineup in ages. Equinox, they were doing okay with Jacob, now they've lost Jacob. I think that's a huge hit. However, Envy have recently just got Ignite, who I think is a monster, and that's why I think that I'll bump him above Ghost for now. Just because if they do run into each other, it's probably at a LAN, which means that means that Envy have made a LAN, which means they're playing quite well, and that means I think they're just going to beat Ghost. That's just my logic of it. I have them at a higher power ranking because if they play, it'll be a LAN, which means Envy have made a LAN. Also, I think that even if Envy do make LAN, if they can get top 6 in EU, that's actually really big for them. Let me just scroll. Where was it? Here we go. Okay, this is an interesting one as well. I've got Complexity number 9, who have not had a good off season either. They're kind of I think even with Envy in terms of off season. In fact, I think they've had a worse off season than Envy, if I'm honest with you. They have one win against Excel, but also a loss against Excel, and they've lost to Flipside twice, NRG once, and GFE. So Complexity, that's the former Method roster, not playing well off season. E-League, they only beat PSG in a close 3-2 and lost to Cloud9, and lost to Vitality as well. Like since RLCS Season 4 second place, Complexity have not been playing well at all. However, the teams that are kind of below them have not been playing great either. The Envy, they've not been playing phenomenally. Ghost, I had Ghost definitely below. Right, this should explain my Envy placing better than anything else. I had Ghost below Complexity after RLCS Season 2, obviously, because Complexity came second place. They were Method at that time. E-League ghosted worse marginally than Complexity, so I put them even lower. And since then, they haven't won a big series against any RLCS caliber team, so they're still below Complexity, right? However, Envy, I wouldn't put above Complexity, right? Because they didn't even qualify for RLCS Season 4, didn't qualify for E-League. I still have them below Complexity. Till they beat Complexity or another top team consistently, I'll have them below Complexity as well. That's why Complexity are like a bar. They're pretty much Complexity right now are like a level. Are you beating Complexity, who are definitely in a slump, or are you still below them? That's like the are you good line right now. The you good question mark line. I don't know. It's a very interesting discussion. Chiefs number 1, yeah, of course, Chiefs number 1. Top 10,000 players. Listen, it ain't gonna happen. What up, Despair? Let's move on to number 8. This is my top 8, and I'm sticking in Europe for Flipside. I think the Flipside deserve to be above Complexity in the power rankings because they beat them twice recently, both in online competition, but still two series wins. League play is going to be online. They're consistently they're doing well against Complexity. They beat them 3-2 and then more recently 3-0. So Flipside they're actually not playing too badly against one of their main competition. They're struggling against Fnatic, struggling against GFE, and they lost the series to PSG as well. So they're not, Flipside are not a top spot contender, but they're definitely, I think, leapfrogged above Complexity just because they beat them 2-3 or 3-2 in DreamHack Leipzig and 3-0 online in a tournament since then. So that's like really good for Flipside. Yeah, and I think Yukio's grinding, so Yukio's gonna be probably carrying even harder than, or playing even better than he did at DreamHack Leipzig. So that's why I've got them there. Why Flipside below Vitality? I don't think Flipside have. Well, they beat Vitality 3-2 quite a long time ago. It was January in the qualifiers for DreamHack Leipzig, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a close series, but not enough to like jump Flipside above Vitality. Vitality did well at E League, and they did well at that same DreamHack Leipzig tournament. They did better than Flipside, arguably. So that's why I've still not got them ahead. Staying in Europe again for number 7, Fnatic are going to be my number 7 team. Like I said, Flipside doing well against Complexity. Fnatic are doing well against Flipside. They beat them twice in the off season, so that's why I've got them above Flipside. Fnatic also did beat Vitality 2-0 in day 1 of DreamHack Leipzig, but in my opinion, that's not enough for them to leapfrog Vitality, because Vitality finished ahead of them in that tournament. They performed better later on in the tournament, and also because Vitality had pretty good E League, which is post RLCS season 4. That's why I haven't put Fnatic above Vitality, but I have put them above Flipside, who I put above Complexity. It's pretty much the teams on my list are doing better against, are doing well against the team below them. That's how I've decided to rank them. But I think this is fair. Yeah, if we look at if you look at NA and EU separately, I think my list is a lot easier for people to digest. When you look at it together, people are like, "Wow, that's not fair." NA is like so low rated, but in my opinion, they just haven't been playing well recently. There's no evidence that they can stack up against the EU teams in the middle of the pack at least. At the top, it's a different story. So yeah, we're gonna stay in EU again. I've got Vitality at number 6. Um, Vitality, like I said, they lost that series to Fnatic in day 1 of DreamHack Leipzig, but then they got better as the tournament went on. They actually lost 3-2 to Dignitas in day 2, which is a close series, but then they beat GFE and they beat GFE 3-2 before losing 2-4 to the eventual winners PSG. So that's why I've got Vitality at 6th place, just because I don't think Fnatic have done enough to. They've definitely closed the gap with Vitality in the off season, I think, just because of that 2-0 win on day 1 of DreamHack. Um, and beating Flipside twice, but they've not done enough to pass Vitality, in my opinion. Vitality are still pretty solid there in that little pocket between the Flipside, Complexity, Envy, like very very close. I mean, it depends how well Ignite really does play. I've got high hopes for Ignite, that's why I put Envy higher than I think a lot of other people will. But yeah, that's going to be a very very close battle for 6th and 7th. 5th, 6th, 7th, I think, in EU. Maybe even 4th place can get in there as well if Fnatic don't stay consistent. All right, number 5, we're going back over to NA, and I have G2 at number 5. Everybody's going to be, I think, pretty mad at this one, because G2 did, of course, win E-League and came 2nd at DreamHack Leipzig, but they still didn't have a, clean DreamHack Leipzig tournament. In qualifying, they lost 3-0 to Equinox, and they also lost 2-0 to Envy Online, and at DreamHack Leipzig they lost 2-0 to Dignitas early in the tournament, but they did get revenge later. However, they lost a series early. They also got 3-0 by GFE in that DreamHack Leipzig tournament as well. It was a terrible tournament for G2 until the last series of day 2. They were doing so badly up until then. They'd beaten Rogue, but I mean everybody was beating Rogue at that tournament. They lost to Dignitas and GFE without winning a game. So I don't know. The problem for me with G2 is that they're still inconsistent. Sure enough, they popped off on the last day of E-League. They popped off when it mattered at DreamHack Leipzig. But are they going to be able to do that week in, week out in a league? I don't think so. That's why I can't put them above Cloud9 in North America, because Cloud9, I think, have always beaten G2 apart from once in league play last season. And also I didn't put them above NRG because I think NRG, with the recent acquisition of Justin, are going to be just. I think that pickup alone has put them above G2. But yeah, G2 still, that's an impressive position to be in. They're going to be absolutely fighting for that top spot, but to do it, they're going to need to beat one of their longtime rivals. I don't think we triggered enough people. Let's trigger more people. 4th place, Cloud9. There you go. You triggered, even more triggered now. I'm not trolling. This is legitimately how I expect the teams to finish. Come at me. So I got Cloud9 at number 4 because they lost to Gale Force, or they lost to PSG and Method. I mean, Complexity at RLCS Season 4. Lost to Gale Force at E-League. Lost to Vitality at E-League. Lost to PSG again at E-League. And then since then, they've done well against their lower tier North American competition. In the off season, they 3-0'd out of Style, 3-1'd Equinox, 4-0'd Dignitas. And then they lost 4-3 to GFE in a sort of pingy, high ping match. So they just haven't done enough, in my opinion, since RLCS, even at RLCS, to be put above GFE or PSG, who I think have just always. Well, they've both got winning records against Cloud9. It's just facts. That's just how it is. However, I do put them above G2 because Cloud9 they usually beat G2. They're the team I would expect to beat G2. G2 beat them once, I think. Right? They beat them once. Cloud9 got the better of G2 in the third, fourth place match at RLCS Season 4. But G2 beat them in league play. C9 and G2 fanboys triggered. Yeah, I know I got people triggered. But listen, I spent a lot of time thinking about this. I didn't make this list to make you guys happy, okay? I didn't make this list to make you guys happy. I made this list to make me happy. This is the list. This is the list that I was happy with. I looked at it in different orders, moved things around, tried to justify it in my head, and this is the only way that I could justify it in my head and think, yep, this makes sense to me. There's logic here. And this is how I think the matchups would go. This is how I think the teams are going to finish off in the regular season. And if they match up online, this is how I think they're going to match up against each other across region. Anyway, number 3, I've got PSG. Recent DreamHack winner. They actually have the cleanest record. They have won their last 5 series against other RLCS teams in the off-season, beating G2, Vitality, F3, Equinox, and Ghost. But they have a 3-0 loss to Fnatic before that. So it's not a completely clean off-season for PSG. And I'll explain why I don't have PSG higher in a minute. Okay? I'll explain why in a minute. But yeah. It's about schedule again. If the schedule was different in the first 2 weeks, I would put PSG second, I think, or maybe even first. But I put them third right now because the schedule I think doesn't favor them. So yeah, let's just talk about that right now. I'll come back to things later. But I've got GFE at number 2, and they actually have a pretty clean record at the moment. Their last 4 series are all wins against Cloud9, Fnatic, Envy, and Flipside, with a 3-2 loss to Vitality before that at DreamHack Leipzig. So, a bit of a shaky off-season at the start of the off-season for GFE, but I think they kind of got back into it towards the end. Let me just show you guys the schedule I'm talking about. Okay, look at this. This is very interesting to me. I want to show you guys this, and what do you guys think about this schedule? All right, so week 1 of RLCS. This just got released today, by the way. So week 1, let's scroll to Europe. Let's see how many games GFE have. Nothing. Nope, nothing here. Okay, no GFE games. PSG, by the way, by this point have played 2 games. 2 games that they should win. Let's go to week 2. Let's see where the GFE games come in. All right, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. 1 game in week 2 against Fnatic. All right, 1 game. And then, of course, week 3 is where they start to have 2 games. Week 4, they have 2 games. Week 5, they have 2 games. They have a late start to their schedule. They have no series in week 1, 1 series in week 2, then it's 2 series for the last 3 weeks this season. Remember GFE last season? They came in quite cold. They lost their first 2 series. Then they picked it up and they won 5 in a row, and then they steamrolled playoffs. This schedule is massively favoring to them, in my opinion. If they had 2 series in week 1 and 2, both, I would definitely have put them below PSG, because PSG started stronger. They're actually practicing a lot harder in the off season. But GFE are probably gonna have more time to pick it up this time because their schedule starts so late, and that's why I've got them at number 1 in Europe. But yeah, not number 1 in the world, because I am part of the Justin fan club. Okay, they have done well without him at DreamHack Leipzig, losing 3-4 to G2 in a very, very close series with Torment as a substitute. And Torment's a great player, but I think Justin is a better player. And I know everybody's going to say Justin's not proven. He's never played a LAN in his life. But most of the players that are like Justin that I can think of did well at their first LAN. I'm thinking Gimmick. I'm thinking Squishy. I'm thinking Garrett. These guys are all very similar to Justin, especially Garrett and Squishy. I I'm trying to think in my head how do I expect Justin to do at his first LAN? I just think he's going to do well. I just do. I believe in the guy. I look at his work ethic. I look at the time that he's putting in. NRG are playing the game more than anybody right now. By the way, NRG are practicing Rocket League more than any other team in this list. NRG are number one. Other teams that are playing a lot is actually Complexity. And well, Flipside are high up the list because Yukio's playing so much. The rest of the team I don't know, but Yukio is. Who else is playing a lot? Let me look at this list. Actually, I think I made a note somewhere. Let me tell you guys who's playing. Lethamir is playing a massive amount of Rocket League. Cloud9 are playing a lot. See, I think that everything that all the time I think about Justin, for NRG, I just think this is gonna work. You know, I've been hearing rumors that they're doing well in scrims. Players similar to him did well in their first LANs. I just don't see how this guy can fail in NRG. I think that it's just a very very solid team. Um, and that's my explanation. What do you mean, Johnny? Trying to explain? I am explaining. I'm explaining my thought process that I've come up with. This is what I expect to happen. My power rankings. This is not a mathematically generated list. I just looked at how much people are practicing right now. Looked at the form of individual players. Just look at how they're doing against other teams in the list. And NRG did well in DreamHack Leipzig. They had a great tournament. They 3-1 Equinox, 2-0 Envy, 3-1 Flipside, 3-1 Complexity, 3-0 Equinox again. Then they only lost 3-4 to G2, who were playing very well that day. So I think they're going to be fine. And I think Justin's going to do well at his first line. I mean, the other, Garrett and Fireburner, I don't think I need to persuade you guys that Garrett's going to play well this season. Like, come on. Probably the most consistent player in Rocket League history in the RLCS era. And Fireburner, yeah, Fireburner's had a few nervous moments at lands, but I don't know. I think that this team is the team to beat right now. I just do. I just think that this is the team to beat. But yeah, that's my list. That's my list for NA and EU. So you can see let's talk about just NA for a moment because I know people will be curious about this. So top two, I think NRG C9 are the most consistent teams are going to be the most consistent teams. That's why I've got them top two. NA. G2 can pop off and beat anybody on their day, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I think they might just lose a random series like they did last season or a random series or two and not finish top two. But then I think they're comfortably third. I think that they're miles better right now than Ghost Rogue, Momentum, Equinox. So I still have G2 comfortably third place. No question. In terms of battling for that playoff spot, I gave the playoff spots to Ghost Rogue and Momentum, just because I think Equinox losing Jacob is going to be too much. I think that's a swing towards Rogue. Momentum, I've seen them do well with this lineup in the past, and yeah, Ghost, although they've fallen down recently since establishing themselves as a top 4 American team last season, although they've been slipping down recently, I don't think they've slipped down far enough to be out of just a solid playoff spot in my opinion. So that's why I've still got Ghost in that pocket there. But yeah, they're definitely slipping down there. They've not done well against international competition in a long time. That's why they're definitely still for me lower than Complexity, always have been. And seems like Flipside Fnatic have been jumping up there, getting above Ghosts in the standings. And Envy pickup of Ignite is why I've got them in there. I think he's just such a good player. I think he's popping off. He 1v5'd hashtag United at Gfinity on Saturday. All right, let's talk about EU. So Excel, I think everybody would agree they're at the bottom. Envy, yeah, I think that they've gotten better, but unfortunately for them, so have Flipside and Fnatic. So have Flipside and Vitality recently. And yeah, Fnatic have just been solid. They seem to do well against Flipside, that's why I've got them above them in the standings. Complexity, they could really turn this around. That's the team that they might just finish top 2. I've got them as 6th because they're not playing well right now, but they could still, I think, turn this around because they all work extremely hard and they're a very good team. They're just in a slump, and I don't think that slump it doesn't look like that slump's going to finish in time for them to get a top 2 spot in Europe. I think they're going to be battling in the middle, and it's going to be a tough battle. That's a really, my goodness, can you believe one of those lineups is not making playoffs? It happened last season as well with Devo, Remco, and Greasy not making playoffs. It's mad. One of those that team isn't a top 6 European team, guaranteed. Turbo, gonna PayPal me later. Thank you, Turbo. I appreciate that. Did you see your schedule, though, Turbo? How happy are you that you don't have any series? Like I said before, the reason I have GFE above is because their schedule is so it doesn't get difficult early. It's a later, much more late in the season schedule. PSG will have played 4 series before Gale Force play any at all. You guys, yeah, PSG have played 4 series this year before Gale Force play any series. That's just, to me, that doesn't make sense. I don't know who made this schedule. I think Excel have also played 4. Yeah, Excel have also played 4 series before Gale Force play any series at all. Hmm. I feel like that could have been done a little bit better, but anyway, definitely definitely a favorable schedule for GFE. That's why I've got them edging out PSG. The week 1 of NA has a super interesting matchup. Momentum is up against Equinox in week 1 of NA. That could be week 1 deciding who makes playoffs and who doesn't. Let me see what other matchups are happening week 1. What else is interesting? Energy out of style. Okay, that's easy. Energy Ghost. That's, I think Energy should take that pretty comfortably. Out of style Equinox. Equinox shouldn't be losing to out of style. Cloud9 Ghost. I think Cloud9 should be taking that pretty comfortably. So there's one very interesting matchup in NA, Equinox Momentum, in week 1. I'll just put this up on my screen real quick so you guys can see. EU, PSG should be smashing Excel. Oh, Flipside Complexity. Alright. So Flipside beat Complexity the last 2 times they played them. So that's very interesting. Complexity could just turn it around right here. Envy versus PSG. It should go in favor of PSG, but this is going to be a big, is Ignite going to 1v5 again? He's done it before. Is Ignite just going to 1v5? He might. Flipside Excel. Flipside should win that. And Vitality Complexity. That's an interesting one as well. Complexity I think this is a good, schedule for them as well. If I'm a Complexity fan, I like their schedule because they're not facing PSG in week 1. They've actually done pretty well against PSG in the past. I don't know. Would I want them to play Vitality? Maybe not. I guess the best schedule for Complexity week 1 would have been against Envy and Excel. You just want to get wins early, right? You think I'm going to lose subs because I don't give a monkeys. Like I said, I didn't make this list to make my viewers happy. I made this list to make me happy. I was like, I'm happy with this list. This is the list I would put money on if I was a gambling man, which I'm not. NA has bigger than EU. Yeah, that's because I think EU is a tougher league by far. I thought G2 was 4th. No, I've got G2 5th. The number is where they rank overall. And then obviously top to bottom is how I rank them in their region. So that's what this is. I'll leave it up for a little bit and then we'll do something else. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? Okay, let's just ask a couple of questions because I do this